Hi, beautiful people. My name is Joseph Pisano, and it's Monday, and I had an opportunity where I was able to get home, take care of a few things, and so I am now getting to give you some of the insight from my rice experiment. It was really extraordinary. It was quite an amazing experiment to take part in. And so what I did, well, let me start with explaining what the rice experiment is first. It actually started with Dr.MasaruEmoto and his water experiments. Hidden Messages in Water is the book he wrote. And in this book, he basically demonstrates how our words affect these water molecules. And they would take regular water and then speak loving things or terrible things or play music or whatever kind of input they were giving the rice or the water. And then he would take a drop, flash freeze it, and then take a picture of it before it melted. And he realized when all of a sudden he started to see these beautiful crystals appear, and they were different from each other depending on the words or the music or the colors or the pictures. It was really extraordinary. So then he decided to take it another step. And so he chose to do something with rice, the same kind of idea, speaking words to rice. So what he did was he took 3 jars, and one of the jars he labeled love, the other jar he labeled hate, and then he had what he called the control jar. For 30 days, he spoke beautiful, loving, kind things to the love jar, and he then spoke terrible things to the hate jar, and he ignored the 3rd jar. And I'm not entirely sure if you guys are getting the full. So we'll see. I hope it does. I hope it does. The good news is, really, it's all about seeing what happened. So after 30 days, the love jar was beautiful. The rice was beautiful, almost like you could eat it. The hate jar had a couple different colors of mold on it. And the ignored jar, he actually felt was worse, because not only did it have a couple different molds, but it also had some sludge at the bottom. And so he determined from this finding that it is worse to ignore. And so please don't ignore, okay? Just even if you don't like someone or you think discursive things about somebody, just don't ignore, because it's even worse. And we're trying to heal each other. We're really trying to heal each other, and that's the important thing here. So a smile is a special thing you could give to somebody, and it doesn't cost you any emotional energy. At first it might, depending on how vile you think the person is you're smiling at, but after some time, you'll begin to realize it's not that difficult to smile at everybody. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm not going to show you all 12 jars. What I am going to do is show you some of the biggest change. And so the other jars had change as well, really cool. So these jars over here, they're great, but I really wanted to show you some of these bad boys here. And so now they have been uncovered now for 2 weeks. They were wrapped in tinfoil to block any EMF, electromagnetic frequency. And so first, let's start with the control jar. So I had 2 control jars. I had one wrapped in tinfoil, one not wrapped in tinfoil. So let's look at the one not wrapped in tinfoil first. We can see that there's some mold. That's pretty much what we would kind of assume that, rice after 70 days now would look. So that's the control jar not wrapped in tinfoil. Now this is where it gets kind of cool. So we're going to look at the jar that was wrapped in tinfoil. And we start getting some really interesting yellows. There's even some orange. And let's see if I can find this and show you. But the pinks, there's pinks in here. I know it doesn't come out easy to see, but there's pink in here. It is the only jar with pink. And this is the control jar that was wrapped in tinfoil. So this was control. There was nothing said to it, no label, and it got yellows and a couple with pink. No other jar has yellow or pink. So that was really cool. So the two control jars, totally different simply from wrapping in tinfoil. All right, so now let's go through some of these other ones. This was fantastic for me. So this is the Anunnaki jar, and this rice is beautiful. It's really incredible rice. I mean, you can still see that there are grains, individual grains. I mean, it is still a beautiful looking rice. So Anunnaki labeled jar looks fantastic. And by the way, when I unwrapped all of these, I wasn't the one to actually unwrap them. We had a big unveiling. And so there were quite a few people unwrapping these jars. So I had no idea what to expect. Like, I had zero. I went in with zero expectations. I just had an idea that maybe labeling would affect in some way, and it did. So let's now go to our love jar. And so when we unwrapped the love jar, we had expected it to look significantly more beautiful. Now, the rice on the top part absolutely does look beautiful still, but you can see that there's some sludge going on here. And when we unwrapped this, we all came to the determination that you can't really know deep love unless you have been hurt or known some kind of pain. And so that's why this is so important. So it demonstrates to us that love is beautiful and love is vibrant and fresh, but yet there's still going to be some hurt involved, you know, a little sludge. We got to go through that sludge so that we can know another depth of love. So I really thought that was fantastic. Now I would like to go to the Krishna rice. Beautiful. I mean, this is some beautiful freaking rice. I mean, come on. Like, this is awesome. Like, I'm loving this, right? This is gorgeous rice. Krishna labeled. So out of all the labels so far, none of them have looked the identical. I've given you some close ones. Here's the love with some sludge. Here's Krishna, zero sludge. Okay, now let's get to the two last jars. So as you've seen so far, I haven't shown you a single jar that looks identical. All of the other jars are going to be the same. They're going to have their different qualities about them. You know, so I'm showing you the major ones. Now let's get to one of the ones that we actually all began to have quite a serious amount of emotion behind. Even the people who are not religiously motivated. And so this was a big one. This is the Jesus jar. Now I'm going to cover it for a second. So before I show you, just take a guess. What do you think the Jesus jar is going to look like? Are we going to have gorgeous, beautiful rice like Krishna? I mean, look at this Krishna rice again. It is beautiful. What beautiful rice. Okay, so now let's look at the Jesus rice. Look at all this sludge. Look at this browning that we started to get. Like, in fact, what's funny is the browning is not as bad as when we first uncovered it. But there's still browning. There's so much sludge. And then the other thing that I found interesting, it's the only jar with water in it. The only jar. There is not another jar in my collection here that has water. But look at all that sludge and look at the water. So we basically all kind of came to the same conclusion that there's a lot of negative, terrible, hateful things that get accomplished in this guy's name that he does not support. He doesn't support. He's not flying around in a G5. He is not asking people to give money that they don't have. For all of you people who are real followers of Jesus, you say you are, he was a homeless man. He was hanging out with the degenerates. He was not hanging out with the upper echelons of classes and then making people who didn't fit into his conceived idea of what is a good person. He welcomed everybody. He loved everybody. He was all inclusive. So if you're looking to find, Jesus in the sky in your G5, G6, it's not going to happen. You're going to find him amongst the poor and suffering, because that's where he does his work. And so it was really beautiful. This water, a good friend of mine, Liz, see if we can get that water again for you. Liz, she was saying, well, what if those are the tears of Jesus? I'm not going to say she's wrong. Why would I say that would be wrong? I mean, this is the Jesus jar. We can see the degrading happening with the Jesus jar. Why would I say that that's not the tears of Jesus? I can't. That is not for me to say. But it's really beautiful if you think about that. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so now I've got one more jar to show you, and this is quite possibly my favorite jar. So bear with me. I just want to go through, out of all of the jars I've shown you, Anunnaki, the Jesus jar, Krishna, the troll jars, all of the other jars, all of the other jars. The jars I'm not even showing you, you'll notice there's something in common. And the thing you're noticing in common is that there's no rice on the side of the jar. And I did that intentionally so we could easily look in and view the rice. So we want to be able to see the rice. So if there's rice on the side of the jar, you're not going to really have a clear view of what's going on. So now let's look at the final jar I wanted to present to you. This is the Donald Trump jar. Can we all see this Donald Trump jar? We get that? Are we seeing something unique? So yeah, there's sludge, right? Definitely there's sludge. Not as much as the Jesus jar. There's sludge in there. But what's really interesting, and I know it's kind of hard to see, but the rice grains are almost indistinguishable. They have almost become this, congealed, massive, just disgustingness. And then what's really funny for me about this rice is the rice on the side of the jar. So there was no rice on the side of this jar when I put the rice in. And if we look, we can actually see that it almost looks like the rice was moving up. The trails of the rice are going up. It's almost as if this rice is saying, get me out of this freaking jar. Like, it is amazing. It's amazing to me. So this jar really makes me laugh quite a bit. And so as you can see, not a single jar was the same. And they were all clearly different, simply with the label. And so here's the takeaway that I would like you to have. If labeling a jar of rice will affect the contents inside from your energy, do you think that when you label yourself or someone else, that you are actually possibly hurting this person in a way you don't know? Or you're labeling them in a positive way, and a positive label is going to be better. However, labels in general clearly affect, and they don't always affect the way they think. So what I would like for you to take home is, if we know that labeling the jar alone affects the rice, whether it either degrades or maintains a certain stasis, that why would you ever say anything negative to yourself ever again? Why on earth would you ever say anything negative to yourself or anyone ever again. And you want to be the champion for peace and love and harmony and compassion. So one of the first things I would suggest is don't label. Don't label people. You know, you can label me as, you know, Joe if you want. You can label me as, you know, a kind person. I'm not opposed to that. You know, but I would avoid doing the labels of seeing somebody and saying that's a terrible person, or even taking away things of I would never trust that person. We want to change this. And one of the ways we change it is simply by changing our thoughts and our intentions. So I love you very much. I love you all very, very much. And I know this is a longer video than what I normally do. But I really do love you. I hope that you can hear the audio. And thank you so much for being here with me. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great day.